Yo, well, here we are. I mean, we're going to go through the second day of the Senior Bowl as of right now. The past couple days it's been going on. Two players the Eagles have talked to, which I'm definitely going to go over because this is about the Philadelphia Eagles, the new coaching staff. We're going to be going over what Clint HT said, the new defensive line coach, on how he's going to be using his defensive line, some news on Kelce, and some other news regarding that Nick is in the hot seat this year. Nick Sirianni being on the hot seat this year and who he could be replaced with, and a lot of things going on. We haven't even touched our roster. We're still haven't, we're not done hiring the whole entire staff when it comes to positional coaches. So there's a lot going on here, but we're going to get into all of it. So let's get into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, yeah, we got a lot going on here. Getting into the process of the NFL draft, leading up to it from the Senior Bowl to the Combine, the draft, and seeing what the Eagles have interest in with a new coaching staff in perspective now, and things dramatically changing by the week. To see what the Eagles have interest in and, what Howie is looking at regarding the roster and what we need and what changes are going to be made and not bringing certain players back and replace them with actual draft talent, some homegrown talent from the draft. So it's a very exciting thing and very excited for it. Now, number one on the list from Toledo, the cornerback, probably one of the most physical cornerbacks that we've seen, is Quinnen Mitchell. Okay, had a really good Senior Bowl, had some really good reps. He's 6 foot, 196 pounds, got great length. He's had 37 pass breakups in 2 years. I think he's had 4 interceptions in 1 game. The guy always wants to score. He can pretty much handle big receivers, small, speedy, receivers as well. His motion within his hips is great. I mean, he's very fluid at times. But like I said, most hands-on, in your face, wants to punch you in the mouth. That's what I like. Okay. Is some of a bigger size type corner, which isn't too bad. But I have to say, Eagles already going after cornerback already. So, I mean, you think that there's going to be a big change at that position with big plays like James Bradberry being there. And look, I think Vic Fangio is sitting there and he's saying, look, I think he wants to get a menace at cornerback. That's for the future. And you're going to draft a guy in the first round, and I'm not saying potentially that could Quinnen Mitchell be the first round guy at 22. I think this is one of the deepest classes when it comes to cornerback, and I think that's what we need. But I think you need a guy that has great hands. I think that has really good ball skill when he gets the ball in his hands. Like I said, the guy always wants to score, and when he does with that 4.39 speed, you see it on tape. I mean, you see it 100%. And you get a little weary when you draft or you look at these guys that are very handsy because the NFL is really soft right now and they don't let these guys fight for the football, and usually these guys are always getting penalties nonstop. And I honestly don't even care, man. I mean, this is what I think we need, some new blood in the building. We need a new era of cornerbacks that are going to play tough in Philadelphia. They're going to mark their own territory. And I think this is a guy that's well needed, as well as others that are, going to be in this draft, but definitely his draft stock, Quinnen Mitchell's draft stock is definitely going up, no doubt. And, watch some of his plays, man. He's very physical, gets in the arms of the receiver very well. He doesn't give up on the play. And he's just one of those guys where, if he messes up on a play or he gives up some yards, he doesn't put his head down. He just goes back to work, man. And that's what he does. But so far, it's looked pretty damn good. And, he's got the reputation, especially at Toledo, that he knows he can get it done in the NFL, and, how it will transfer to the NFL, we'll see. But I think this is a guy that definitely will be on the Eagles' radar. We'll see how the combine goes, the next step to everything with him, and as well as a lot of other corners. He won't be the only cornerback that's interviewed, most likely, but to see this already is already a good sign going forward. I know the Eagles aren't going after, they're not going in free agency, they're not going to grab, they're not paying a corner big money. I think we went down that rabbit hole enough when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm kind of tired of it. I want a homegrown talent for the next 9 to 10 years. You know what I mean? So very excited for it. And Quinnen Mitchell could be that guy moving forward. So, very, very happy about that they're going after that position. And shout out to Joe Castro for that video. And he has been at the Senior Bowl. So if you haven't followed him at Joe Castro at Philly TP, and his link for his YouTube channel will be in the description below. One of our own content creators for the Philadelphia Eagles is out there working his tail off, and wish him the best success. And he's been a big help the last year, even last year with a lot of the news. He's going to be covering the Senior Bowl, the Combine, all that great stuff. So make sure you guys check the description. Make sure you follow him on Twitter as well when you guys get a chance, because the work is just unbelievable. And I thank Joe for all of that, which is awesome. So really cool. Now, another guy that the Eagles could be going after as of right now is the New Hampshire running back, Dylan Laube, if I'm even saying his name right. The Eagles have met up with him. And this is a day 3 pick, most likely. I don't think it's any of the top pick. I mean, was he 5'10", 208? So, I mean, at least he's not 160, 170 pounds at running back, but this is an elusive open space type back. Has been compared as a, pretty much a open field threat. Can play special teams, kick return, punt return, all that great stuff. He's got quick feet, very elusive in the open field, and that's where you're going to get him. And he's a natural pass catcher, which is great. So I think the Eagles have been interested in, maybe this is, maybe this is a sign that DeAndre Swift can come back. I don't know. I think the Eagles need some new blood in the running back room. Kenneth Gainwell is your only running back right now, as of right now. I don't think you should bring Boston Scott back. I think you should go out there and get a rotational guy. And I think that's what Kellen Moore wants, because even Austin Eckler, they used him in, over 500. Even over 500 yards received. It's crazy. Kellen Moore likes to use every strand of what he has in his offense, from his quarterback to his receivers, his tight ends, and especially his running backs in the passing game, because he loves passing to the running backs. And this doesn't surprise me at all that they would go after a guy like this. He's got, his speed's pretty damn good too. He's got really, really good speed. I don't know what his 40 time is, but I heard it's, in college tape, it looks his cutbacks, his jump cuts. One-on-one in open space, 9 out of 10 times he's making the guy miss. So really do like his play, and just to get a speedster open field type running back, that's not going to be your short yardage back. That's going to be mostly used for, in the passing game, get a lot of attention. And it would be a really good pickup for the Eagles. The Eagles, really, I don't think, they haven't really hit too much. They really don't go into the undrafted free agent pool, but they like drafting. They've drafted running backs from the 3rd, 2nd round with Miles Sanders, Wendell Smallwood in the 3rd or 4th round, I forgot. Even in the later rounds, you can always find that rotational guy between rounds, 3 to 7. It happens, you know what I mean? And I think, you could find a guy like that going forward. And I feel like I as much as I do like bruiser backs, I feel, and who knows, they might look at some, but I think in Kellen Moore's type offense, you're going to need speed, and that's what they want. And not saying, even Eckler didn't really have that much speed, but they want a natural guy that can naturally run routes, that has that wide receiver running back combination, which I've always liked. And to get a guy like that, even seeing guys around the league like James Cook and these running backs that aren't just used for the running game, but they're lining them up as wide receivers, they're lining them up in the flat, they're doing different things with these. The running back position is changing at times, because these guys are, a lot of, running backs are coming out now, are natural pass catchers, a good amount of them. And to have like those gadget type running backs in your rotation, something in the later rounds like this, and Dylan Laube would be pretty damn cool. And nice to see that they're, looking at more speedster type running backs that could be, dual threats in a lot of ways. So I think they should definitely add more to the rotation. I think this would be pretty cool. So very excited for that going forward. Now, I want to go over Clint Hurt, defensive line coach. Okay, now there is some news even with Clint Hurt, and apparently when he was the DC back in. I guess the DC, the last time he was the DC with Seattle, I guess he used to drop his defensive ends and pass coverage. But I don't get it. I'm seeing two different reports, and I'm seeing two different reports as of right now. I'm seeing that he's put his defensive ends and pass coverage, and then I'm seeing that there was a new report that came out that he's not going to, he doesn't want to see the big guys go backwards, but this is the pure incentive. This is a great thing to even see. And I like this guy's personality, and he's a tough coach, which I really do like. He's coached linebackers. He's coached defensive line. He coached defensive line with Vic Fangio when he was in Chicago as the defensive coordinator. As a defensive coordinator. So there's a lot of success between those two guys, especially him being together with him. So that's great. But this is more incentive that you have to go out there and get linebackers, 100%. So just more of an incentive, because I think what the Eagles have tried to do since they were really battered at linebacker, they tried to supplement that with, or substitute that with, putting your defensive ends in coverage, or putting your best pass rusher that still had double-digit sacks on Hassan Reddick still went in pass coverage. Josh Sweat, a lot of games this year, went in pass coverage. I don't know if, there's things to question too, like, is Josh Sweat good enough for this scheme? Like, that's, you know what I mean? I hope so. I hope they don't get rid of him, but Vic Fangio is making all the rules. He's making his own coaching changes, and I wouldn't doubt it at all that the roster is going to change a lot. And most of the money that you're putting in the free agency and the draft is going to be towards your defense, besides getting a wide receiver 3 and another running back, a backup right tackle for Lane, and if Kelce retires, another guard. I don't know, but at this point, it's just one of those things where, it's free agency is going to kind of put us in a direction of where they're going in the draft. So, it will kind of show us what they're missing. But that, your back seven and your linebackers, it's a lot of it's got to change. And the defensive line needs to hit home. I know. I don't really worry about Vic Fangio getting this defensive line not prepared. They will be prepared. I mean, third in pressures last year is pretty damn good. But what helped the defensive line get pressures last year was because he had a linebacker in Andrew Van Ginkel that had 6 sacks and 53 quarterback pressures. Yeah, plays his linebackers downhill at times, which is great, and knows how to get pressure on quarterbacks. So, I think it all really comes down to linebacker, and I think the Eagles were trying to substitute that with, putting more help in pass coverage with, with your edge rushers. The scheme was just so flawed, and he didn't have the right coach for it. And this was Nick's vision of what the defense was going to be looking like, and it didn't have the coaches for it, unfortunately. So I'm very excited, to see what Hurt does, Clint Hurt does with the defensive line, and I think it's going to be a powerhouse. Jordan Davis will go back to his normal position at nose tackle in a 3-4 scheme, which is natural and probably will be the most successful, to be honest with you. This way, you'll be good there. So very excited for that going forward. Now, this one's interesting regarding Ben Johnson backing out of the Washington Commanders. Yet the Washington Commanders are still changing things dramatically and still are just looking like an embarrassing team. They can't even get a head coach right now. It's that bad. They lost out on the Ravens defensive coordinator, I forgot his name. He just signed as Seattle's head coach. They missed out on Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's going back to Detroit. So it's just, for them, it's really embarrassing. They can't, which means, I don't know, maybe Dan Quinn's going to have a head coaching job over there, or maybe Eric Bieniemy's going to be the head coach. I don't know. They haven't announced anything yet. But I think this connects very well to Nick Sirianni and what happens down the line, because if Nick doesn't pan out, okay, and say the Eagles don't have the most successful year this year, but I don't know what it's going to take for Nick to get fired. But if he's not going to be in, that's why, how do you try to evaluate your head coach if your head coach barely has control over both sides of the football. If he barely even has control, how are you going to rate him to? I mean, maybe some of the players won't, will still believe in him depending on how they react to Nick Sirianni and maybe some of their talks that they have this year. I don't know how they look at this whole situation of how Nick's going to stay as the head coach for years to come, or he's on the hot seat this year. I think he definitely is on the hot seat, and Nick is really desperately trying to prove himself, which means if he gets fired, be a good instance that Ben Johnson could be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles in the future. I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? This gives big incentive for him, and we'll see. I'm trying to make sense of it, but when you literally, when the front office literally hired these coaches and Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore, and honestly, like Kellen Moore is definitely more of a pass happy type, coordinator, but gets the most out of his players. And looks like a normal football team and has route combinations that make sense and is very creative, which we had no creativity last year, no adjustments. It starts to make me think that Nick I don't know how much control Nick even has at this point. And the evaluation for a head coach, like, what are you taking out of Nick this year that the team is just going to die on him? I mean, I don't know what you're taking out of it. So it should be interesting. I don't know. To me, the whole Nick staying here and what he's doing makes no sense. And I'm telling you right now, if things change during the year where they're going to allow Nick to put his hands on this offensive playbook with Kellen Moore, and Kellen Moore is the scapegoat, or the coordinator is the scapegoat once again, trust me, once we get to that first game of the season, we're going to be able to tell where the team is at with the play calling, and we're going to find out if things look similar or things look totally different. It's going to be eye-opening. We're not stupid, okay? I'm stupid sometimes, but I'm not that stupid, but I can be stupid. But we'll see what happens with that. Ben Johnson is going to be available for a head coaching job after next year, and the Eagles could be a prime candidate for him. So got to keep looking down the line for that. And lastly, yes, the news I always leave this last because I know people are just tired of hearing it. So Jason Kelce news. So there was an update from Jason Kelce. Says it will be hard to retire after watching his brother Travis reach another Super Bowl via the Daily Mail. Says this game continues to be difficult to play selfishly, physically. It's a grueling sport and it has its problems with trying to play it an older you get, but it's hard. It's really hard. I'll be honest with you. There have been strong rumors that Jason Kelce will retire, but as of now, it looks like he's still in the process of making a decision. I feel like he's still coming back. I really do. I understand, like, after the game emotionally where he hugged Stalin, everybody was like, oh, shit, he's leaving. But it was just an emotional time. So he wants to get into a clear headspace before – he always wanted to get into a clear headspace because when you're too emotional making decisions, sometimes you'll make the bad decision. But I feel like, yes, unfortunately, like, offensive line needs a rework because not with the starters, but, you're losing – Sua Opeta is a free agent. They have to sign him back because he plays both guard spots. You have Tyler Steen that's way too raw right now, needs another offseason for right guard. I would try to move somebody to right tackle or draft a backup right tackle. And if Kelce leaves, you have a glaring hole at right guard, like I said. So, Cam Jurgens will move to that center spot. And I kind of had some worry about Cam Jurgens and his health a little bit because he hasn't been the most healthy guy I've seen on the field either. But he's had some work in the offseason. So Cam Jurgens is always getting work at center because if he's not a center on the first team, because Jason Kelce is, on the second team, Cam Jurgens is always that backup center for us. So he gets work all year at center. As much as we don't hear about it and we don't see it, it's happening behind the scenes and we kind of know it. Jack Driscoll's a free agent. So you got some free agents now. Interesting to see if, the Eagles could bring some of the guys back. I don't think Sua Opeta is going to be too expensive. But you don't really have a backup left tackle. You don't have a backup right tackle. The guard spots are fine. And Driscoll sucks at right tackle. So I think the second game he played good. The first game, I think it was against the Jets. He didn't really play well. That second game, I thought he played a lot better. I forgot what game it was, but I thought Driscoll played a lot better. When he practiced with the team all week, and I thought he did a better job. So we'll see what happens with the offensive line. I don't know. For me, I don't feel like Kelce's going to be going anywhere. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens down the road. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. We've talked about Quinnen Mitchell. We've talked about Dylan Laube. Running back, cornerback, be a lot more to really go over. But, just from a short thing, a standpoint of what the Eagles need and what they're kind of going after, get some new blood at the running back position, which would be awesome in the rotation. And obviously, Quinnen Mitchell really shown out the Senior Bowl. And corner is what we're kind of looking at here. Not the number one position we're looking at because we have 2 corners right now, but theoretically, like, we know that we really want James Bradbury gone and what the plan is for, Slay and Bradbury, so it should be really interesting going forward. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of those 2 guys. Clinton Hurts as the defensive line coach, and wanting to be more aggressive with his defensive line, which is great, and to have the most success with Vic Fangio. So you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes you up, falls live. Peace out, guys. Peace.